They're not accepting the reality of what Jimmy's knee injury represented. The team was built on Steph and Jimmy. You take a $57 million a year player off of that team, and that's the wrap. It made everybody have to face a really hard reality, and the person that has to face it the most is Steph himself.
But you know why Nick is such a good teammate here at 95.7 The Game? So he's at the press conference, Mike Dunleavy, general manager, taking questions. Nick hits all the hosts here with a group chat and said, boys, some juicy deets just went down with general manager Mike Dunleavy. And I'm sorry, I can't, my voice just doesn't, my voice can't go that deep, Nick, so I apologize for butchering an impression of you. But you're such a good teammate that you're even texting the quotes from Dunleavy to all the hosts here. I mean, come on, man. Steve Kerr could use you on the court. You're such a good teammate.
You can't use me because I can't shoot, and they need a lot of help right now, Spadone.
Well, you fit in then. If you can't shoot, you'd fit right in, Nick. So there you go.
Fair point. But look, that the other night with Dunleavy, I knew the pregame show had already started. You guys weren't running live to Dunleavy's comments in the moment. That direct message straight to Kuminga and his agent Aaron Turner was unbelievable. And then Turner bounces back in a tweet a few hours later. I mean, the amount of intrigue around this team just never ceases to amaze, even after something as bad and catastrophic to the season as Jimmy's injury was. So there are always so many layers to get into, but that was the quote of the year from Dunleavy so far.
What do you think is the number one layer right now for the Golden State Warriors? The number one layer?
It's what Steph wants, what he wants them to do. And Joe, Steph is always so good to the media. He's always accommodating. He understands what his role is to the greater part of the organization and the league. And I really thought it was noteworthy that he just decided not to talk after that game the other night because Steph always talks. He just didn't want to be in that public setting and share his thoughts yet. As far as the next biggest thing for the group, it's what does Steph want him to do? Because they could go a lot of different directions here, especially before the deadline. None of them, to me, get them closer to where they were when Jimmy was on the floor. But that is the most interesting part of whatever comes next.
You do all these different appearances with us. I saw you on the Plus Minus with Kawakami, and I'm Marcus Thompson. You write for The Athletic, so you read all the comments. You see social media. What's the biggest misnomer that Warrior fans have about some part of this team right now? What's the thing that you think they're not seeing with this team? Because they're angry.
They're really angry. Joe, I think they're not accepting the reality of what Jimmy's knee injury represented. At least to me, as I watch, I mean, this team, we could go back and forth. Did they have any realistic chance? Maybe, maybe not. Could they have pushed some people in the postseason? Sure. It's over now. It is over. Even if, in a best case scenario, and I know this has bounced around, you mentioned social media, since Jimmy went down in the last 48 hours, it's like, all right, we'll go get Giannis. One, Giannis told my colleague and friend Sam Amick, he doesn't want to ask for a trade. Okay, fine. Giannis, if you take Jimmy's slot, and Giannis would have to say, I want to go to the Bay and I want to play with Steph Curry. So you take Jimmy's slot and you add every draft pick, for the next zillion years, and you add Pods and Moody or whatever combination of younger players that Milwaukee wants. Joe, that team just is not that much better. Your team then is Steph, who's about to be 38, Giannis, who will be 32, and Draymond, who in the best moments is still struggling to put up that same standard, that same level every single night. That is your team. That team, while better than whatever version is right now, is not good enough to win a championship because you don't have anything else to put around them. That is the problem. The team was built on Steph and Jimmy. You take a $57 million a year player off of that team, and that's the wrap. I mean, that is a wrap for the short-term future of this group. And the problem, tying back to the first question, is it all revolves around Steph. Steph's playing at such an incredibly high level. There is so much frustration because Steph is playing at such a high level. But from where I'm sitting, when Jimmy went down, it made everybody have to face a really hard reality that they didn't want to face. And the person that has to face it the most is Steph himself.
So I'm doing that deal for Giannis. I'm just letting you know.
Of course you are. I don't blame you. Do it.
But I do think that, like, the thing, everybody thinks Draymond's the same old Draymond, and he's not. Scotty Barnes was guarding him the circle of the key the other day. Like, I dare you to take any shot you want. He's got more ice on his knees than a cocktail, than a Long Island iced tea. Like, I think that there's a failure to acknowledge where Draymond's at in his career and what he does to compromise the lineup. So I guess my question to you is now, over the next 2 weeks, who knows beyond that? What do you do with Draymond Green and his role on this team when you factor in maybe what they should do with Kuminga? What would you do, Nick?
As far as Draymond goes, I don't think much is going to change, Joe. Draymond is best suited in smaller minutes these days, and he is best suited in games that he takes personally and that he knows are big to the group. The biggest problem, let's go back a few years, Aaron Baines falls on Steph's hand. Steph breaks his hand. Draymond didn't want to be out there most nights. I mean, let's be real. He knew that team did not have a legit chance. I think in the very short term, Draymond is proud. He is proud of the legacy and the standard that he and Steph and Clay created all these years in the Bay. He's going to give it everything he has. What would worry me is in like 3 or 4 more weeks, like then what? Because then all these guys are going to sit there and go, oh, you know what? We're a play-in team. You know, we are a middle of the road group. So as far as Draymond, I don't think much is going to change at all. The bigger question I have for the short term before the deadline, I mean, forget the Kuminga stuff because we've hit that.
No, let's talk more about it.
Yeah, I mean, the question for me is, what do you do with somebody like DeAnthony Melton? Because he's got a player option next year that he's very likely to decline because it's so small. He wants to get paid. If you're Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob, there's got to be a recognition of we're just not good enough right now. We should sell off of a piece potentially that could get us another asset down the line. Al Horford has been not good. Joe, we've talked about it all season. You can't tell me that some contender out there isn't like, hey, we'll take Al Horford, who knows how to play for championships and could give us 20 minutes off the bench as a big man. So those are the questions to me that are most interesting as we get set here for whatever happens in the next couple weeks, because there has to be a recognition of, hey, it didn't go our way. That's pro sports. But again, this ties back to, you asked me up front, what's the first part that happens really next? It's what does Steph want? Because if Steph wants to still compete and have a chance to win most nights, those are moves for a rebuilding or a reshuffling team. Those are not moves for a proud team that still wants to push to the end of the year.
And you just said it right there, Nick. What does Stephen Curry want? I mean, he's told us what he wants is just meaningful basketball. Whether that's, playoffs. I have hard to imagine he's talking about play in. Like, yeah, man, I want to be the 10 seed in the West. That's what I want to do.
No one's going to say that.
Well, no one's going to say that, but that's also why I'm asking, like, at this point, what is meaningful basketball to Stephen Curry? Because, like, I'm looking at it, there's going to be a lot more of those types of games we just saw against the Toronto Raptors. There just is. That's how the league. They're going to play a lot of young, fast teams. They're just going to outwork them. And maybe you have a good shooting night, but you're going to have a lot more bad shooting nights as well, because we've just seen it with this team. If Stephen Curry is now off because you have no Jimmy Butler, if Steph has a bad game, you're probably going to lose. So at this point, what is meaningful basketball for Stephen Curry, and how does Lacob and Dunleavy try to juggle that these next 2 weeks?
What they have to sit down and talk to him about is, what do you want? Because Spadone, meaningful basketball the rest of this season is the standard that Steph and Draymond have set for themselves. This team, night to night, can win some games, and they're going to lose some games. They are a mediocre team. This is a team that is destined to be like 41-41 when we're talking in mid-April. They had a terrible setback. That is pro sports in a nutshell. I think Kerr said it very well. Injuries happen. It just happened at the worst possible time because they were rolling. The issue is that Steph is about to be 38. And so he knows. He sat up there on Monday, guys, and he didn't want to talk about what would happen if Jimmy were out. But, everybody sitting in that arena before that MRI confirmed it, pretty much knew what it was. And so now he has to sit there and go, all right, how badly do I still want to stay here and play in one place and be the guy? And he, privately, publicly, he said the same thing for years. He wants to be a Warrior the rest of his career. And that's great. But there is an acknowledgement that as far as at least the hope of a title, that's just not realistic. That's really, it's the shift in perspective, Spadone, that has to be crucial in all of this, because nobody's going to sit there and say, hey, we can't win. These guys won titles because of the belief and the belief in themselves and the system, but they don't have the talent to compete with that upper tier of teams anymore.